Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Mundane Matt, and today is August 18th, 2015. It's been approximately 365 days and about 6.5 hours since Zoe Quinn, or at least somebody pretending to be Zoe Quinn, DMCA'd my Hell Hath No Fury video, thus kicking off a round of censorship discussions about collusion and conflicts of interest and ethics in games journalism, and also making it the craziest year of my fucking life, otherwise known as hashtag Gamergate. It's been a wild fucking year, and I can't believe it. You know what I mean? Like, I really, truly, honestly cannot believe that it's been a whole year, right? Like, I still remember it like it was yesterday. You know, like waking up and all of a sudden everything is my whole world changed. My whole world changed in the span of a few button presses, essentially. You know, I went from some random nobody on the internet to being a slightly more known random nobody on the internet, who helped kick off an event that has lasted longer than anyone ever fucking imagined and has only grown and swelled and become something one could argue pretty fucking amazing, actually, given all of its trials and tribulations and the pushback against it. So Gamergate as a whole, it means, I think, different things to me than it might mean to other people. And I think it's all about perspective of where you came into the fight. You know, some people, have been at this for years, wanting to argue against identity politics and gaming and make sure that these people, these journalists, disclose the fact that they are friends with these people, or in some cases, romantic interests with the people that they cover, right? And that is a lot of what goes on, So essentially going back to the whole thing, I'd like to kind of touch back on what I think led up to the whole DMCA thing itself, right? So on August 16th, I was sent the link to the Zoe post, and I was told, you should check this out. This is going to be interesting. And I read through Aaron's piece, and I commented on what I felt was the best thing about it to comment on. I don't care about Zoe Quinn's romantic interests, previous, current, whatever. None of that shit matters to me. The fact that, she was involved in a relationship with a writer from Kotaku, Nathan Grayson, around the same time that he penned an article featuring her, struck a bit of a chord with me. And that's what I talked about. That's all I said. I said, remove the sexes, remove the genders. Who fucking cares about the relationships? Past that, let's talk about this one right here and how there's a problem. And that was about it. It was really mild, really. It really wasn't bad. But, it kind of was part of a bigger thing brewing at the time. So fast forward to the next day, fast forward to August 17th, 2014. And on Tumblr in Action, there was a post on the main page, talking about Zoe Quinn and Wizard Chan, and that whole breakdown of her crying victim after attacking a board of depressed individuals, right? And people were talking about that in the comment section. In fact, the number one comment in that comment section was from Matt from the Fine Young Capitalists, talking about the Game Jam debacle with Zoe, the doxing and all the other shit that her and Maya Kramer essentially did. And that's one of the things that was brewing at the time as well. And then in that particular comment section, somebody had linked over my video. I was asked by Alum Bakari right before SPJ Airplay to tell him how many views my video had before getting DMCA'd, right? At the time, keep in mind, at the time, I had just under 17,000 YouTube subscribers. My average estimate per video is around probably 10 to 20%, if on a good day, per video. And at the time of that, I had 4,599 views by the time it got DMCA'd. Yeah, less than 5,000 views, right? Less than that. That's how many views I had when it was taken down for that 2-day period. Of course, I re-uploaded the video without the infringing image, and that video has gotten, I think, over 100,000 views, right? But it wouldn't have done that. It would, honest to God, would not have done that had the DMCA not happened, right? So again, I'm not the cause of Gamergate. Definitely one of the few catalysts that kind of helped light that tinderbox and get the party going. So I've always found that to be interesting. that, the Tumblr in Action post, the Zoe post, the Finding Capitalists, and myself, I think were probably a lot of what kind of got that going. Because that's a lot of things going against Zoe at one point in time. Then you've got the fact that Reddit was censoring tens of thousands of comments, because, Zoe Quinn is good friends with Patrick Klepek. Patrick Klepek is good friends with one of the mods from R Gaming. They were openly talking on Twitter about this sort of thing. He was censoring it on her behalf, which is what brought Total Biscuit in, right? So you can kind of see the snowball effect happening here. Internet Aristocrat does this video later on that night. Bam, kicks it off. Does another video. Bam, gets even bigger. All of a sudden, here comes Adam Baldwin. Adam fucking Baldwin, right? I mean, just who would have thunk that? Okay. And then he coins a term, Gamergate, coins the hashtag, and sends it on his merry fucking way. Guess how many times the Gamergate hashtag has been used in the course of the last year, right? 8 million. I dare you to find another hashtag that is not related to One Direction that has had that many fucking uses. Okay, now granted, not all of them have been from pro Gamergaters, right? You have people on the anti-Gamergate side that have spent a large portion of the last year truly trolling the tag, trying to get a rise in reaction out of people who are pro Gamergate in order to help push the Gamergate's about harassment and misogyny and sexism narrative, which we all know is general bullshit. And it has taken a year. It's taken a fucking year in order for that narrative to start being shed, right? Now, people have been able to find opportunity within the current controversy. A lot of people on the pro Gamergate side have found themselves with a large number of extra supporters that have come from that, myself included. I went from just about 17,000 subscribers to 67,000 subscribers. So I've gone up a cool 50K in the span of a year, to which I am deeply, deeply grateful to all of you guys who have continued to support the channel before and after everything went down. I really do appreciate it. You guys have no idea. When I posted that video, I wasn't expecting anything. I go back to look at my earlier shit. I would talk about whatever I found interesting that comes up. I still do, right? But that was just another thing I found interesting. I just wanted to talk about an industry that I love and the fact that I really dislike collusion and conflicts of interest. And disclosure is not a hard thing, right? But here we are. There are regrets that I've got too, about the whole thing. There are, certain things that have happened in the name of Gamergate that I don't agree with. It's a leaderless movement. So people are going to do what people are going to do. And as a result of that, cliques are going to form. Certain people are going to rise to prominence over others. Certain things are going to be said. This is just kind of the natural progression of humanity. We tend to flock towards people who share our ideologies or our thoughts or our beliefs. And as a result, some things have happened that I don't necessarily agree with. But that at this point is really just, water over the bridge or under the dam or over the dam, under the bridge, whatever. So it's really no big fucking deal. One of the things I found to be interesting though, and I still find this to be interesting, is that a year later, people who talk about Gamergate, who don't know shit about Gamergate, still try to say that it's a movement about, harassment, misogyny, sexism, and it's all a bunch of conservative right-wing trolls, which is a fucking huge amount of bullshit. The reason why they're thinking it's the conservative right-wingers is because the conservative right-wingers are the only ones who would give it a fair shake, to at least approach it from an alternative perspective, to not look at it from the it's pro harassment narrative, but to look at it from the, wait, why are all these people mad? Let's at least start there. Okay. It can't all be 50, 60, 70, 80,000 people hate one woman. Okay. It can't just be that, because people in essence are not that fucking cruel. You know what I mean? But you guys have to understand here, and I'm sure most of you know, that the narrative of harassment is what pushed it so long in terms of the opposition, the anti-Gamergate, because that's all they've had to hold on to. Keep in mind though that the stuff that, like the death threats that Anita received, didn't have Gamergate tagged, but were still attributed to being from Gamergate. The Utah University bomb threat, or school shooting threat, was not attributed to Gamergate, right? Did not have hashtag Gamergate in the fucking email. It didn't. Still attributed to Gamergate. All of these things have happened to these people that they've used to go against Gamergate. never had the tag. So just using, I don't know, logic, reasoning, rationality, you cannot say that it is part of Gamergate, because it is a leaderless movement, mostly made up of people who are hiding their identity. So it could be anybody. And we know that there are third-party trolls involved, like Helldump and Gna and Anonymous, right? We know that there are people that like to come on and just take the piss out of everybody and fuck around. This is not an unknown thing. This is a very well-known factor. But it's not looked at. Because if it was ever looked at, it would destroy a lot of the preconceived notions that the opposition has towards Gamergate. That's just the fucking truth, right? And if you want to talk about the political spectrum of people in Gamergate, it's across the fucking board. You've got libertarians, you've got Tea Party members, you've got conservatives, you've got hippies, you've got feminists, you've got everybody in. It's a smorgasbord of ideals. And people are still, for the most part, able to get along because they're holding true to the concepts about ethics in games journalism, which really is not that hard to do. And the best thing about it, too, the best thing about Gamergate, in my mind, has been the ethics part has been having an effect. I love that. I love it every time I read an article and there's disclosure. I love it. You know what I mean? I get like a half chub. It's, yeah, it feels good. You know, every time I stumble across a Nathan Grayson article on Kotaku and there's disclosure, I pee a little bit from happiness. Right? You know what I mean? Like, that's the truth of it. It's like these people, they didn't need to lose their jobs. And I think that's been one of the big problems here is people get mad. They want a lot of these journalists, bloggers, whatever you want to call them, to lose their jobs. And I have always said that what we need to do is give them the opportunity to correct the error of their ways. And then go from there. And believe it or not, most of them have. Right? They may still put out these opinion pieces that you disagree with, but you can have a difference of opinion. That's perfectly fucking fine. Right? If you have an opinion that you put out there, and it gets, shit on, that's just part of putting your opinion out on the internet. Trust me, I know this. Okay. I claim to like Adam Sandler movies. People threaten to kill me. You know what I mean? Like, it's just the nature of the beast. Opinions are going to be challenged. Not always in the most respectful way, but they're going to be challenged. Taruk Musa wrote an article about Witcher 3. And saying that it was racist because there were no people of color, even though it was based on, Slavic mythology. And he claimed there was no such thing as Slavic mythology because he's an idiot, right? And those ideas were challenged and he fled Twitter. And then people wrote articles. Gamergate drove Tariq Musa from Twitter. No, the dude wrote an article where he espoused an opinion that people tend to disagree with. And he couldn't handle the disagreements and he left. Right? But then you've also got the articles he wrote about is necrophilia a bad thing and is incest a bad thing, all while citing his sister. So take that for what you will. But these people that talk about these issues, their motives are clear. Their motives are crystal fucking clear. And they can have those motives. Look, they have to, if we can have our motives, they can have their motives. It's just, that's equality. Okay. But that doesn't mean that they're above criticism. It doesn't mean that they're above commentary. It doesn't mean that they're above being challenged. And that's the difference between us and them. We're not above being challenged. Believe me, we challenge each other constantly. If you challenge them, they block you. There's a huge, 60,000 person block list that they use because that's the only way they can react is just to block you. Stick their heads in the sand and go, la, 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 I can't hear you because I blocked you, la, 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 but I'm gonna tweet shit at you anyway, right? Because they like the one-sided debate, because the one-sided debate is the only one that they'll actually ever fucking win. And that's just the truth. That's just the fucking truth. So, yeah, right? That's where we're at right now. SPJ Airplay. There was a thing there. And this is back to the whole media bit, because I didn't want to touch on this. Lynn Walsh said something that I found to be very fascinating. When reporters are going to talk about Gamergate, they have to really weigh how much information they put in the story. Because Gamergate is such a nuanced topic, because there's so many bits to know, we who are pro Gamergate, who have been here since the beginning, we know it. We know it inside and out, right? We know what happened, when it happened, who said it to whom, who screenshotted what, everything. We know it. We know everything. But the average regular person doesn't. And when a reporter is trying to cover a story, for the most part, they're trying to cover multiple stories. If it's not a feature, it's a news blurb, right? So they don't have time to get everything, or they have to weigh what information they do get to pick whatever they want to cover. Sadly, in the case of most mainstream media, they picked up on the harassment narrative because that's what was being sent around. And as a result of that, that's what they took, that's what they ran with, and that's what they pushed. Is it a fault of theirs that they have done this? Absolutely. But what Lynn was saying was because they have to make those choices, it's not easy. And I think because Gamergate is such a vast topic with a multitude of angles, it probably was the easiest, which is sad because they should hold themselves to a higher standard. And I'm hoping that the SPJ airplay, for whatever amount of shit that it was, and let's be fair here, there was a lot of shit. First panel was good. Second panel, was who has the bigger dick, Milo or Koretsky, essentially is what it broke down to. But there were still some good nuggets that came out of that. And the narrative has been changing now for a while. Gamergazi, those fuckwits over there, they've barely cracked 8,000 followers on Reddit, whereas Kotaku in Action is nearing 50, right? People are going there to engage in discussions, to talk about these issues that they care about, that affect them. They want to know that they can trust the people that are instructing them or guiding them on what to spend their money on. They want to know that they can trust these people to have discussions with them instead of pointing the finger at them and saying, you're the problem, without ever offering solutions as to how to fix it. That is essentially what a lot of Gamergate is. Back in November, when Internet Aristocrat, or Medicare, whatever you want to call him now, Jim, he left, he said that he wanted it to be an attack on SJWs. And he wasn't necessarily wrong. I don't agree with him 100% on that, but he wasn't necessarily wrong. Because these people will eat their own babies if put in the position to where it's fight or flight sort of thing, right? They will flee and eat their kin on their way out the door. And we've seen this. Brianna Wu disagreed with Ghazi. They demodded her and banned her, right? People have said that Zoe Quinn's Crash Override Network, which had a countdown timer to just a couple days ago, and has just been looping with absolutely no more information on the website. All they have to show for everything is a Tumblr. Whoop-de motherfucking do. There's been enough criticisms about them not wanting to help you unless you're a big enough e-celeb to push their narrative, right? There's been a lot of things that have been going against them. Polygon wrote an article about the SPJ Airplay event, and it portrayed Gamergate in a slightly neutral tone. Zoe lost her shit, right? And they do this because when that narrative of them being the victim is not 100% echoed, they get mad. They throw fits. And that's why they're turning on each other in record numbers, which is showing people why Gamergate has staying power. We may not all like each other. There are many people in Gamergate I do not like at all. Like, to the core of my being, I do not like these people. But we're fighting for the same cause. So I have to just ignore them, do my thing, let them do their thing, knowing that it's for the same thing. These other people, they don't do that. If you speak out of line, if you speak out of turn, if you go against the fucking narrative, they shut you down. I can say honestly that Gamergate isn't like that. They will challenge you, they will criticize you, but they won't fucking run you away. There are people that try, but they're third-party assholes, and the best thing to do is pay them no fucking mind. I guess, to kind of wrap it all up, because it's been on for a while, Gamergate taught me a lot. Sargon and I were talking a couple weeks ago about the 1 year coming up, and, we were like, man, we were dumb. If we had only known, if we'd only known more of what we know now, then maybe we could have handled it differently. We could have stopped a lot of the excess bullshit from happening, or at least curbed it. But we didn't, and that's part of growing. And that's all Gamergate's been doing. It's been growing. It's been growing rapidly. 8 million uses over the course of the year, 400,000 uses a month on a slow month, right? The SPJ AirPlay tag was trending worldwide. It was the #1 trend in the United States and Canada for a bit, and it was number 10 worldwide. People were paying attention because that is the power of Gamergate. We can move hashtags, essentially moving social mountains, drawing attention to situations that need it, being a greater force of good. And we're getting there. And that's awesome. So here's to another year. Another year of fighting the good fight, of telling people that it's not hard to be ethical. You can disclose these things and people aren't going to crucify you or lynch you for it. And maybe, just maybe, the media will learn to cover these kind of events, that these multifaceted events with a tad more professionalism, to actually do the research, to dig in, to get the scoop, to get the full story, to talk to people who know what's going on and can offer a counter opinion instead of just pushing a tired narrative that is crushed under any weight of scrutiny whatsoever. And it's because of the tenacity of the people within the tag, within Gamergate, that it's lasted as long as it has, that it's grown as much as it has, and it's accomplished as much as it has. And no matter what the opposition says, no matter what lies they print, and they print a lot, they will never be able to take any of that away from you. And that's something to feel really good about. I'm proud of you, Gamergate. You did good. But the fight ain't over. And I don't think it ever will be. But that's why we're here. Because we love gaming. And we want to make sure that people who are also fans of gaming, who identify as gamers, aren't mistreated, aren't talked down to, aren't lied to, and aren't told they're the problem by people who don't hold themselves to the scrutiny and to the principles that they tend to hold everyone else to. That's why we're here. That's why we're fighting. Anyway, thanks very much for listening. My name is Mundane Matt. If you haven't already, thumbs up the video, subscribe to the channel, comment. And I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good one. Peace out.